Johnny Depp has long been one of Hollywood's most mercurial souls, a man whose life reads like a script torn between poetry and chaos. The actor, musician, and artist has been adored for his on-screen transformations, yet it is his off-screen vulnerability that makes his story endlessly compelling. In late 2025, whispers from those close to him suggested that Depp faced one of the most painful moments of his recent life, witnessing the woman he once called his soulmate sharing a kiss with someone else. For a man whose romantic history is as vivid as his filmography, the sight reportedly left him reeling, retreating once again into the solitude that has defined so many of his creative rebirths. The setting of a heartbreaking scene, it was a gray afternoon in the south of France, where Depp has long kept a quiet home surrounded by olive groves and the rhythmic sound of the Mediterranean breeze. Locals often describe him as the quiet artist, spending his mornings sketching, his evenings strumming an old guitar once gifted to him by Jeff Beck. According to witnesses, Depp had arrived unannounced at a small seaside cafe, the sort of place where anonymity is still possible, even for a man whose face once filled billboards from Hollywood to Tokyo. What he saw next, however, shattered that illusion of peace. Across the terrace, his longtime confidant, the woman many friends said was his anchor in recent years, leaned forward and kissed another man. It was not a fleeting moment of misunderstanding. It was tender, real, and filled with the unmistakable warmth of connection. A silent witness. For a few seconds, Depp stood frozen. Those who know him well describe a man who has always processed pain inwardly, through silence. One friend later said, "Johnny's not the type to shout or make a scene. He absorbs everything like a poem he can't finish." He turned away quietly, leaving the cafe before anyone recognized him. To onlookers, it might have seemed like nothing more than a man taking a walk along the coast. But for Depp, it marked a symbolic fracture. Another instance where love slipped through his fingers like sand. The soulmate in question. The identity of this soulmate has never been publicly confirmed. Insiders close to Depp insist that she was not a celebrity, but rather a painter he met through mutual friends in Paris. A woman with a bohemian spirit, who shared his passion for art, music, and long philosophical conversations about life's strange dualities. They had spent months exchanging letters, sketching together and speaking of the solace they found in each other's company. Those close to the actor often spoke of how this relationship seemed to bring him serenity after years of turbulence. She reminded him of who he was before all the noise, one musician from Depp's circle said. It wasn't about fame or the past. It was about two people finding peace in their art. The aftermath of the kiss, the day after the cafe encounter, Depp reportedly vanished from public sight. His assistants were instructed to cancel his upcoming social appearances, and the recording sessions planned for his collaborative blues project were quietly postponed. Friends later revealed that he retreated to his studio, locking himself away with nothing but his guitars, typewriter, and a stack of worn notebooks. When Johnny hurts, he creates, a longtime associate said. It's always been his way of bleeding onto paper instead of people. For the next several weeks, he avoided all public outings. Those who reached him said he spoke little, instead communicating through songs, small fragments of lyrics and melodies that spoke of betrayal, longing, and the strange beauty of impermanence. A man shaped by love and loss. To understand why this moment hit Depp so deeply, one must revisit the pattern that has defined much of his romantic life. From his youthful whirlwind engagements to his intense partnerships with fellow artists, his relationships have always been woven with both passion and pain. Depp has often described love as a wild creature that doesn't belong in a cage. Yet the irony, friends say, is that he gives his whole soul when he loves, which makes every heartbreak feel like an amputation. When the woman he considered his spiritual twin drifted away, it wasn't just about jealousy. It was about a loss of faith, the realization that even the purest connections can falter under life's unpredictable weight. The art that followed. In the months following the incident, Depp began painting more prolifically than ever. Visitors to his studio spoke of canvases bursting with stormy color, reds colliding with blacks, golds streaked with gray. Each brushstroke seemed to echo the emotional tempest he was navigating. One particularly haunting piece reportedly depicted two silhouettes standing apart beneath a rain-streaked window. On the back of the canvas he had written, "To see love from a distance is the cruelest art of." All collectors who later viewed the work called it some of his most poignant and honest art to date. A visual diary of heartbreak transmuted into something transcendent, music, his language of healing. Not long after, Depp returned to the recording studio. Collaborating with a circle of close musician friends, he began crafting an album of raw, blues-infused ballads. One track, tentatively titled "The Kiss I Never Stopped Seeing," is said to be a direct reflection of that moment in the cafe. The song's lyrics, "You were sunlight on borrowed time, I was the fool still chasing rhyme," capture both the sorrow and acceptance that have come to define Depp's artistic outlook. Critics, who have heard snippets of the project, describe it as deeply personal, far removed from the theatrics of Hollywood, and rooted instead in the vulnerability of human connection. Conversations with friends. While Depp rarely speaks openly about his private life, a few of his closest confidants have offered glimpses into his emotional state. One longtime collaborator, who asked to remain anonymous, said, "He told me, it wasn't the kiss that broke me. It was realizing she didn't look for me in the crowd. That's Johnny, always poetic, even when he's bleeding." Another added, "He's been through enough public heartbreak to write a library of blues songs. But this one felt different because it was quiet. No drama, no headlines, just the silent knowing that something beautiful had ended. A philosophy of forgiveness." Weeks later, Depp reportedly reached out to the woman. Rather than anger, he offered understanding. Sources say they met briefly, not in confrontation, but in closure. "She cried," one insider said. And Johnny just smiled, that small, sad smile he does when he's already forgiven someone. He told her that love doesn't die, it just changes form. That simple act of grace marked a turning point. Those who saw him afterward said he seemed lighter, almost relieved. Heartbreak had once again become a muse rather than a prison. The public's reaction. When news of the incident quietly circulated through fan communities, reactions were immediate and emotional. Admirers flooded social media with messages of support, sharing art, poems, and music inspired by his resilience. The hashtag #OurDeppSoulmate trended briefly, filled with reflections about love, loss, and the courage to let go. It was a reminder that even the most admired figures are human, fragile, flawed, and endlessly searching for meaning. Lessons in love and impermanence. Those who know Depp best insist that he has emerged from this experience with a renewed sense of peace. The heartbreak, though painful, reaffirmed one of his oldest beliefs, that beauty often lives in transience. He has since been seen attending small jazz nights, smiling with friends, and sharing sketches with fans at art events. There's a gentleness about him, an acceptance that life, like music, must move in rhythm with both harmony and dissonance. "You don't own people," he once said in an interview years ago. "You just walk beside them for as long as they let you. When they turn another way, you wish them sunlight." Those words now seem prophetic, a reflection of how he has chosen to navigate even the most personal storms. Reflections from his inner circle, in the quiet aftermath of the heartbreak. Depp's longtime manager described him as reclaiming his solitude. Rather than withdrawing in despair, he has channeled the pain into an almost meditative creativity. "Johnny has always seen love as art," the manager said, "and art for him is never wasted, even when it hurts." Another close friend summarized it perfectly. "He's the kind of soul who can turn heartbreak into a song that saves someone else's life." The man behind the myth Johnny Depp's journey has never been one of perfection. It has been one of endurance, of facing chaos and creating beauty from it. This latest chapter, while deeply personal, continues that tradition. For fans, it serves as a reminder that beneath the celebrity, there is a man who still believes in the sacredness of love, even when it breaks him. In one of his journal entries, shared anonymously through a friend, he wrote, "Love isn't about possession. It's about resonance. Sometimes the music fades, but the echo stays forever." Those words, tender and melancholic, encapsulate the very essence of his story. A man forever learning that even shattered hearts can still make beautiful sound. Looking ahead, as 2025 draws to a close, Depp's creative resurgence shows no signs of slowing. His art exhibitions have sold out across Europe, and anticipation for his upcoming music project continues to build. Yet when asked about the inspiration behind it all, he reportedly smiles and says, "It came from a kiss that wasn't mine." It's an answer that says everything. Poetic, elusive, and unmistakably Depp. Friends, subscribe the channel, and I wish you good luck. You should take care of yourself.